Hi, I'm Adrihanna Collins. Today I'm going to be talking with the new superintendent.
Hi everyone, Greg Stone, new superintendent here at Weedsport. Happy to be here.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your background? Where did you grow up? What school did you go to? What education-related positions have you held?
Sure. So I grew up in the area, grew up in Camillus. Both my wife and I attended West Genesee and graduated from there. We actually live in the area currently with our own children. So my son Michael is a 7th grader at Camillus Middle School, and my daughter Kaylin is a high school student in 10th grade at West Genesee High School. For my education, I attended Ithaca College for my undergraduate, where I majored in music education. Actually, my main instrument is the double bass, and so I went into teaching, and I taught instrumental music for many years out at North Syracuse School District. Got my master's degree from Oswego in curriculum and instruction, and during my teaching career, I decided I wanted to get into leadership roles, and so from there, I went and got my CAS from Lemoyne College. And I started looking for leadership roles in North Syracuse District where I was teaching. And while I taught the elementary level, I taught at the junior high school level and the middle school level. So I've worked with students in grade kindergarten through 9th grade from a teaching standpoint. And a position opened at Smith Road Elementary School where I became the principal. I was there for 6 years as the principal. And then more recently, I had the director position open at North Syracuse, and I was the director of elementary education and ELA for the past 5 years. And then when Weedsport opened up, I saw it as a fantastic opportunity. I know a little bit about the community, and so I applied, and here I am sitting here today, really excited to start my new career here at Weedsport.
What was the hiring process like for superintendent?
Hiring process was pretty intense. So the process started with an application. So obviously I filled out all the paperwork. You had to supply a lot of written references, and that was a pretty intense process in itself. There was a lot to that process of just application. I was lucky enough to be called for an interview over the summer with the Board of Education, and I think I spent about 90 minutes or so with the board and just getting questions from left and right all over the place about my education, my experience, everything related to education. About 2 weeks later, I was moved on to the next round with the board where I had to give a presentation about my entry plan and what that would look like. And additionally, had more questions. Then I was lucky enough to move on to the final round, which was quite intense here at Weedsport. So final round was, it was a couple months ago now. And it was a whole day interview. So I got here around 7:30 in the morning and had all day of going with different groups of people in the district. So started with administration, interviewing me for about an hour. There was a student one, there was a parent one, there was a community one. I think there's one more in there as well. So that was across the whole school day. And then at night went out to dinner with the Board of Education to kind of have another informal interview. And I got the call the next day and was offered the position. So I must have done pretty well, but it was a pretty intense day. I can tell you that was a day from about 7 a.m. till 9 or 10 at night of just constant being on and answering questions. So pretty intense here at Weedsport. You guys take this seriously.
Yeah. What questions stood out to you the most during the hiring process?
I thought about that a lot, and I think what clearly stood out here at Weedsport was a couple of things. A real high focus on academics. There was a lot of questions around the high school level and going on to college and career, and so there was a real focus on what I found and valued with that. And it was very clear that the community values academics. Mm-hmm. There were certainly some athletics things in there and fine arts, but also a lot about the community and the history here. So, I mean, you guys are students here, so there's been a rich history with Weedsport in many of those areas, and the community, it was clear, was really looking for someone to carry on the traditions, but also to see, hey, what can we do different and better, just like we always try to improve. We don't want to lose anything we've always done great, but maybe there's some areas we could also talk about looking and improving. And so that was very clear through the interview process, those areas.
What areas do you think, or at least seem to be wanting to be improved?
Well, I am the kind of person where my job, especially right now, is just to get to know all of you, getting to know the history here, getting to know the community. So I do not come in thinking that there's certain things that should be changed in any way. You have a great situation here where you're a well-funded school district. There's a lot of stability. You perform very well at the high school level. So my job is really just to be the next 6 months to be out and about, talking with students, talking with adults, talking with teachers, community, to get a better sense of where we're at, and then collectively to see where the community feels we can improve. And certainly I'll have input on it at that point. But I'm very careful in a leadership role. I should not be coming in with preconceived notions of what we should do until I actually know more about the district. So I'm excited to learn that over the next 6 months.
How do you think you stood out from other candidates?
That's an interesting question because I don't know much about the other candidates. It was a pretty closed process. So meaning I don't know who applied for round 1 or round 2. The only person I know about is the other person who made it to the final round. And so, I think it's a difficult question to answer. I would say, I would guess that what stood out is my experience in education, having worked for 22 years at North Syracuse Central School District, which in comparison is massive district compared to here. Although it's interesting, I attended a conference recently where we at North Syracuse were the small fish. So it feels like a large district here, but in the rest of the country, that would be considered a small district. But anyway, so I think what have stood out is my experience. I'm a very honest person. I will tell you if I know something or if I don't know it. I'm very transparent in my leadership, and I believe that good leadership is about surrounding yourself with really smart people and putting smart people in the room to make decisions and kind of bounce ideas off of it. So I'm going to assume that's what the board saw throughout the interview process, as well as the rest of the community.
Why do you think they hired you?
I think that comes back to that previous question. I think because of my experience, certainly. I've done a lot in my role at all levels of a school organization. So I come in with a wealth of knowledge. I certainly don't know the answer to everything, but I've been experienced enough to know who to ask. So I would say experience for sure. I've done a lot with curriculum and with instructional leadership. So I'm a firm believer in always looking at our school system to say, what can we do better? So for example, here at the high school, I would always be asking the question, how do we expand course offerings at the high school so that students can take as many options as possible, which is hard to do in a small district. So I think my passion for education, my experience, my focus on instruction is probably some of the reasons that I was hired in the position.
Mm-hmm. What has your continuous want for growth, how did you bring that to your previous school district?
Oh, I could tell you lots of stories there. So, I'll keep it short, but we'll just say that we had a serious issue with our English language arts, our ELA program, and not that our teachers were fantastic, working really hard, but there was no consistency, and our test scores were really struggling. Mm-hmm. So for the past 4.5 years, 5 years, that has been all of my energy. We've totally revamped everything that happens with ELA instruction at the K-8 level, and next we're doing 9-12. And so that passion has really, you can see it now. We've shifted how we used to teach to a completely different model. More importantly, you're seeing students actually really starting to grow and learn. And so we had to invest a ton of time and energy into professional development for our staff and in resources and in making sure we have a really strong curriculum. So that's what I'm very proud of. And I'm sorry, what was part of your question? Did I answer it?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. All right, good.
The next question I have is kind of just switching gears to the meet and greet you had a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
What did you think of the community?
It was great. We, I had hoped more people would show up because you always hope there will be, but in any of those events, in any school district, it's very low turnout. So actually, for the size district, it was a massive turnout because there was a good amount of met a bunch of teachers, administrators, I met some parents and community members. And again, what was really evident is that people here really care about this community, they care about their school system, they are really invested in it, and they're looking for, in my eyes, leadership that's going to continue the great work. And like I said, hopefully just build upon all the great foundation that's here. So met some great folks from across the district and the community. Everyone was very friendly, came up to me, very approachable. My family was here. I brought my kids. They were not thrilled to be here, but they pretended to be happy and engaged. And so it was a great night and a great way to kind of kick off my superintendency here.
Mm-hmm. How old are your kids?
So my son is a 7th grader, mm-hmm. and like I said, he's an interesting kid. He's big into he loves sports. Mm-hmm. He loves basketball and lacrosse, and like I said, he's Camillus Middle School, so he's that's his thing. My daughter Kaylin, she's a sophomore, and she's really strong academically. I wouldn't say she loves school, but she does well in school. She works really hard, and but she's also a lacrosse player, and so she hopes to go to college for hopefully for Division I lacrosse, but also a really high academic school. So they're interesting kids, very different kids, but both wonderful kids. And just like every family, we have lots of fun, and there's some times where the siblings have their issues, but they're good kids overall.
Yeah. What is the greatest current concern the community brought up during your meet and greet?
I'll be honest, I don't think there was anything that was alarming as a concern. It was apparent that they really want to make sure that, like I talked about, the high school has a lot of offering for the students so that you're prepared for options in college. So that was kind of clear. Concern-wise, I think also just having stability. This district has a great student-to-teacher ratio, so keeping class sizes small was really important to the community. And I think the biggest concern is always, what is the state budget going to look like? Because whatever the state dictates is the budget is what we as school districts have to work with, and so there's always a fear of, well, what's going to happen if the state reduces funding. And so that's completely out of our control at the district level. I don't foresee that as being a major issue, but you never know. And so I think that's always something on everyone's mind of, oh, what do we do if things don't go as well as we hope? But again, I think this district has a strong, stable foundation, so I don't think there's any major concerns. It's just talking about what can we do even better.
What is something you admire the most about Weedsport?
I have grown to really, really love this district. So let me talk about how I applied, because that plays into it. When this position initially posted, I knew of Weedsport. Obviously, I grew up right down the road. We spent summers here at some of the things that happen here at the fairgrounds and everything. But I didn't know a ton about the school district, and so when the position opened, I spent a lot of time researching the school district, looking at obviously your test scores, looking at your funding sources, and looking at the teacher retention. And the more I learned about that, and the more I learned about the community, it was really evident that this is a place where many people choose to move to. It's a high-performing school district in a small setting, and so I think that's what I was most impressed with, is that the community is really committed and knit into the fabric of the school. I was fortunate enough to attend a parent-teacher meeting at, I think it's PTG here at Weedsport, PTO, whatever the parent one is, I forget. Sorry, there's a bunch of different ones in all school districts. But I got to meet a bunch of parents there, and it was really apparent that they are committed to the school district. So that's what I would say really stood out to me, is this district is part of the actual community, and it's interchangeable in every way, and so that was really appealing to me.
What is something that you want to work on, or do you think needs improvement at Weedsport?
I think, like I said, my job is to just take in a lot over the next 6 months. My goal is always about transparency and communication. So it'll be my goal over the next 6 months to figure out, how do I communicate really well with the staff, with the students, with the community, what modes of communication are working well for us here, and what are some areas that I might be able to improve on. And so I'd be curious to see what kind of social media presence the community is looking for, what kind of information they'd like to come out on a regular basis. So my focus will really be a lot on the communication systems, to see what I can do to improve that so that I can do my job well. But like I said, really it's about listening and just learning about the district some more.
What do you think is the best quality a person can have?
I would say, without a doubt, for me, honesty and integrity. So honesty, I think, is one of the hardest for all of us, because when you get into a situation where you're pressured or you're uncomfortable with something, it's really hard to have that honesty. So I believe if you can't give an honest answer, you shouldn't give an answer. It's really important for us to be honest with each other, and it's a really hard trait to instill and maintain. So honesty for me means a lot, and integrity of just seeing things through and always being true to the person that you are. So one commitment I always have wherever I work, as either a teacher, principal, or director, or a superintendent, is everything that I do and every decision I make is about what is best for students. And sometimes, and I would say oftentimes, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to please everyone, but at the heart of it, when I'm deciding, I'm going to be really thinking through what is best for our students, and that's the course I will always take, and that steered my entire career from day one of teaching to right now. So I would say those are the two most important things for me: is honesty and integrity, and staying true to my belief in what's best for students.
What's your zodiac sign?
Is that the one where it's Capricorn, and which one's Zodiac?
That's the Capricorn.
Yeah,
and,
Capricorn.
Okay. Do you
Yep.
feel like, do you believe in that kind of stuff, or?
Clearly I don't, because
Yeah.
I'm like, what again is Zodiac? But I recognize lots of people have a lot of faith with that. So, but interesting fact. So my first official day here at Weedsport is January 2nd, when we come back from Christmas vacation, and it's actually on my birthday. So my birthday is January 2nd, which is
that's
pretty
so
cool.
exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, you get to celebrate with your first day.
Yep.
Would you describe yourself as an optimistic person? Why or why not?
So I bet if you were to ask my work colleagues versus my home, you'd probably get different answers. But absolutely, I would say I'm a very optimistic person. I believe in the positivity of others, and I do believe that my job as a leader is to always keep us on whatever path we collectively have decided on, and no matter what happens, to keep a positive attitude toward that, because I do believe everyone is always here with the best interests, but sometimes that can get, personalities get in the way. And so it's my job to make sure we stay on a positive path forward, because anytime you go negative, it doesn't end well, and you're not going to accomplish what you're hoping to. So absolutely, I'm going to say positivity.
If you had to sum up the most important thing you want to bring to Weedsport in one sentence, what would it be?
Most important thing. I'm going to go back to say two pieces, and I'll try to keep it brief. To maintain what you already have, that is fantastic, and really to expand on that, and really to take us where we are, and it's collectively to see where we want to grow as a community and a school district and get us there. So to set some really clear goals and accomplish it.
So your 2 words would be goals and accomplishment?
Okay, sure. We can go with that. Yeah. Anchored to what's already really good.
Very Capricorn. What was the class you did the worst in during school?
Okay. Hands down, it was math. Because as soon as they introduced letters into math, it did not make any logical sense to me. I am a very logical-minded person, and so it's funny. I actually love math, and I'm incredibly good at math related to business. So if we're talking fractions, percentages, spreadsheets, all that, that makes complete and utter sense to me. Budgets and all that. As soon as you get into equations and everything else is where I lost interest in school. And I do believe in watching my own children. I do believe it's because when I learned math, there was only one algorithm. It was taught one way, and this is the only way to solve a problem. And if you didn't understand it, too bad. Just do the algorithm. And so it wouldn't make logical sense to me, and so I would get frustrated and just not do it. Whereas where I see my own children learn math from different strategies in different ways, and I think that would have worked much better for me because I would have understood it foundationally. Because I don't think it's that I'm not good at math. I think it's just the way it was taught to me. So it's kind of a long-winded answer, but math has interested me, but boy, I did not do good in high school math.
Do you think you like kind of the business side of math?
Absolutely.
Because you find you like putting it into context?
Yes. Absolutely. Well said. Yeah.
Do you have a message for any Weedsport students watching?
I would just say I'm really excited to be here. I'm looking forward to meeting you, and I hope that we can continue to keep the great things going here at Weedsport and move forward in the future and get some good work done. So I'm really excited to start my job in another couple weeks.